welcome back to my channel at Corraine Choo Realty. Today's episode is going to be incredibly exciting because I'm doing an exclusive inside scoop review of my #1 new launch choice for 2026, and that is Thomson Reserve. If you come here looking for a specific step-by-step layout breakdown, I'm afraid that would be in another video, as the floor plans are not officially out yet at the time of filming. But do not click away. What I'm going to do today is actually far more valuable. Let's look straight at the fundamentals because the numbers will always tell a story. We are shifting past the basic brochure talk and diving deep into the actual economic forces, the raw land data, and the macro supply and demand metrics of this specific location at Upper Thompson. If you want to protect your capital and ensure real wealth creation through real estate progression, you cannot wait until the show floor opens to do your homework. You need to have a solid decision matrix before the crowd rushes in. So today, let's figure out the real question. Is this massive District 20 project the right one for your property portfolio? Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. It is solely based on my own opinion and my analysis. Please always do your own research and due diligence before making any decisions. If you're liking the content so far, please do hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will keep me motivated to post more content like this. At the side is my social handles. If you like a personalized guidance tailored to your own circumstances, you can always scan the QR code to get in touch with me for a one-to-one consultation. Now, let's dive right back into the video. The 17-year on-block saga and the super cheap land cost. So, what's all this hype about Thomson View? This is a very special plot of land that took 17 years in the making. Yes, you heard me right. 17 long years. It took 5 grueling on-block attempts and a definitive High Court battle to finally pave the way for Thomson Reserve. Thomson Reserve, also formerly known as Thomson View Condominium, resides on a massive, sprawling 540,314 square foot land plot right at Bright Hill Drive, and it sits next to the landed enclave and Choo Reservoir. Even though given its superb location and massive land size, it failed the first 4 on-block attempts. Either there were insufficient owner consents or no developer bids were received at the reserve price. Back in September 2023, the development was put out for en bloc for the 5th time at a reserve price of $918 million. Unfortunately, the tender also closed with 0 bids. The market simply couldn't digest that price. About a year later, in October 2024, UOL, Singland, and Capital Land Development stepped in. They proposed a conditional option of $810 million, a good 12% discount below the original reserve price. Over 80% of the owners, measured by both strata area and share value, finally consented on the reserve price. At $810 million, the land cost works out to be approximately $1,178 per square foot per plot ratio, inclusive of land betterment charges and lease renewal. Just when everyone thought that it was finally over, in March 2025, a minority group of owners filed objections that could not be resolved through mediation. This triggered the strata title spot to issue a stop order to pause the sale. It was then escalated to the High Court for adjudication before the judge finally granted the official sale order on July 1st, 2025, making Thomson Reserve the largest en-bloc sale approved since Trump Park. The consortium of developers took legal possession, vacated all the residents, cleared the old site for redevelopment, and rebranded this historic masterpiece as Thomson Reserve. Now, is this land price considered cheap or expensive? To give you some real on-the-ground context, let's compare this to a recent government land sale GIS plot in a completely different tier of location, the land cost disconnect. Look at Bedok GIS, located in the outside central region, OCR. Based on the raw land cost of $1,330 per square foot per plot ratio, when it launches, the developer will likely price units between 2,500 PSF and 2,700 PSF after factoring construction costs, marketing, and profit margin. Isn't it absolutely crazy when you look at the land attributes of Bedok Rise? The Bedok Rise land plot has Tanah Merah MRT, but it has no major shopping malls and no elite primary schools within a 1 kilometer radius. Actually, it has no school within 1 kilometer at all. Yet, its raw land cost in OCR is at a higher premium than the RCR land plot like Thomson Reserve. This lower land cost, coupled with a massive land size and a 1,268 unit spread, gives Thomson Reserve massive pricing flexibility. With an estimated break-even of $2,058 per square foot, depending on the developer's launch price, you may be able to secure a unit at a highly competitive price, locking in a substantial built-in safety margin for you as a first-mover buyer before developers push overall pricing higher. Layering the attributes, the 5 unfair advantage of Thomson Reserve. When I analyze a location, I look for permanent structural moats that protect a property's value. Thomson Reserve lines up 5 massive attributes. Mode 1. Doorstep transit. The developer sits directly along Bright Hill Drive, just a 2 minutes walk, approximately 230 meters from the Upper Thompson MRT station. We are looking at MRT exit situated right at your doorstep, completely sheltered. Plus, you are just one MRT stop away from Bright Hill MRT, which becomes a major Thompson East Coast Line and Cross Island Line interchange by 2030, linking you across the island from Jurong Lake District and Changi Airport. Mode 2. Protected premium panoramic views. To one side, you face an expensive, low-rise landed enclave. To the other, the tranquil waters of Choo Reservoir. Mid to high floor units will be able to enjoy unblocked greenery or water views, thanks to the landed zoning, preventing high-rise redevelopments and the permanence of the reservoir and nature reserve. We know that this spectacular view is a rare luxury in Singapore. Mode 3. Immediate lifestyle amenities via Thomson Plaza. You are practically steps away from Thomson Plaza. Thomson Plaza is a massive retail powerhouse boasting over 460,000 square feet of gross floor area and roughly 180 retail units. It covers your daily essentials with fair price finest, settle the kids with top-tier enrichment, and offers massive F&B options. Mode 4. The ultimate family anchor, Aitong within 1 kilometer. To me, this is the golden ticket. The project falls within the 1 kilometer radius of Aitong School. This proximity generates an automated pipeline of demand every year during the Primary 1 registration period. This demand is inelastic. The families do not have the luxury or option to hit the pause button on their kids' age to wait for property prices to come down. In a way, they have to buy or rent. Now, because of that, even if you don't have kids, this factor is critical for a sound exit strategy. Data consistently shows that residential developments within 1 kilometer of Singapore's top-tier primary schools command significant premiums and perform exceptionally well even in the resale segment. Mode 5. Chronic supply shortage. This specific locale is notoriously staffed of brand new mega private condominium projects. The boundary radius of 1 kilometer within a renowned school is only so finite, which means that the number of units in the zone is only so limited and rare. There are no new developments coming up, so every year, families are forced to work with whatever unit that's available in the market at that point in time. This combination of low supply and high demand gives you incredible leverage when it's your time to sell. The proof is in the profits. Micro market deep dive. Let's back this up with hard historical transaction data from this exact location. When you launch a high attribute project in a supply-starved area, look at what happens to the capital gains. For case study 1, I'll be using Jadescape. Jadescape is the most relevant proxy because it's the newest mega private condominium in the area, sitting in close proximity to Marymount MRT station. It was built via the en bloc acquisition of the former Choo HVDC estate with a land price of approximately 747 per square foot per plot ratio. When Jadescape launched in September 2018, it averaged around 1,700 per square foot. At that point in time, many buyers found 1,700 per square foot hard to accept for this region, and sales volume moved moderately at the very start. But let's take a look at how the market reacted once Jadescape is completed. The penthouse premium. A 4,230 square feet penthouse bought from the developer for $5.8 million in 2019, flipped in December 2024 for an astonishing $10.15 million, netting the owner an incredible $4.35 million in pure profit in under 5 years. While for the other standard bedroom tiers, the 5-bedroom units, highest recorded profit reached $1.77 million over a 6-year, 11-month hold. 4-bedroom units, highest profit hit $1.228 million over a 4-year, 9-month hold. 3-bedroom units, highest profit touched $1.026 million over a 6-year, 8-month hold. Now, the question is, why are we seeing such strong profits? The answer lies in the supply deficit. Marymount has an estimated population of 28,760. Based on the average household size of 3.06, we will need about 9,400 homes. With roughly only 6,000 HDB flats in the Sin-Ming and Shun Fu area, we have a spillover demand of 3,400 families looking for a home. So, where do these families go? Let's take a look at the private supply within the 700 meter radius, which basically covers the immediate 10-minute walkable neighborhood. Before the completion of Jadescape, there were only 5 other freehold projects in the vicinity. Marymount View, TOP in 1992, with 68 units. Sin-Ming Plaza, TOP in 1996, with 102 units. Boonview, TOP in 2003, with 120 units. Resale, TOP in 2011, with 176 units. And Thomson View TOP in 2012, with 74 units, totaling 540 units in the area. And 3 other 99 years leasehold projects in the vicinity. A HUDC development in 1977 with 240 units, Thomson View TOP in 2000 with 224 units, and Thomson V1 TOP in 2008 with 21 units, totaling 485 units in the area. Add them all up, and it has only a grand total of 1,025 units from all the way back in 1977, almost a long 40-year period. It was only until 2018 when Jadescape launched they ejected another 1,206 units into the area, but it still wasn't enough to quench the pent-up demand over 40 years. Let's work out the math. Even if you add up all the 1,025 older units and the newer 1,206 units from Jadescape, the area only has 2,231 private homes. That leaves us with a deficit of 1,169 unmet household demands. This is why properties here command such a massive premium. The pent-up demand is absorbed and owners command the pricing power for this area. For case study 2, I'll be using Amo Residences. When Amo Residences launched in Ang Mo Kio, it sold out over 98% of its 372 units on day 1 of launch. Why? Because it's set within the magical 1 km radius of Aitong and CHRJ St. Nicholas Girls' School. Even with a short holding period of around 3 years, the profits are sharp. The 5-bedroom recorded the top profit of $615,000. The 4-bedroom recorded top profit of $683,000. And for the 3-bedroom, it recorded top profit of $593,888. Why are school zones so popular amongst parents? Every year, we see about 37,000 to 40,000 children registering for primary school. Aitong has an intake of about 300 slots, while CHRJ St. Nicholas Girls' School has an intake of 210 slots, and only a tiny fraction of the limited number of slots are covered for Phase 2B and Phase 2C, which is for Singapore citizens residing within the 1 km radius to the school. This prerequisite creates a bottleneck. The geographical boundary is fixed, and there are only 80 projects within 1 km to Aitong and 30 projects within 1 km to St. Nicholas Girls' School. Parents do not have a choice but to buy into a unit within that radius, while still balancing out proximity to amenities, transport connectivity, floor level, facing, view, size, layout, and other consideration factors. Once they filter to their requirements, the supply shrinks to probably only a few units left, forcing multiple buyers to compete with whatever that is currently available in the market when their child's timeline to register for primary school hits. For case study 3, I'll be using the Panorama, or otherwise known as a no-loss development. Let's head deeper into the Ang Mo Kio area to look at the Panorama, which sits directly across CHRJ St. Nicholas Girls' School. This project is famous because despite having not so functional layouts with larger, less efficient balconies, and certain bedrooms not able to even accommodate a queen-size bed. But we are still seeing an astonishing 274 profitable transactions and 0 unprofitable transactions. Let's take a look at how the capital appreciation stacked across different owners at the Panorama. Unit 11, the long-term stack. The first owner bought in 2014 for $1.259 million and sold it near TOP in 2018 for $1.51 million, making a solid $250,000 profit. Now, the second owner bought in at that resale price of $1.51 million, held it through the post-COVID cycle to 2024, and sold it for an additional $560,000 profit. If the original 2014 buyer had simply held on without selling, the total combined profit today would be $810,000. Unit 07, the resale kicker. The first owner bought in 2014 and sold in 2017 when the market was slow, exiting with a minor $97,000 gain. But the second owner stepped in during 2017, held until 2025, and flipped it for a massive $790,000 profit, clocking a solid 6.4% growth per annum. This proves a massive point for mature estates with top schools. When you combine limited supply with the urgency for parents to secure their kids' Primary 1 registration address, the units don't just move fast. They usually command a premium. You're not looking for the buyers are looking for you. The strategy layer, resale versus new launch matrix. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. Corraine, looking at Jadescape and the Panorama, the second owners who bought resale actually made a lot more than the first owners who bought at launch. Why shouldn't I just wait and buy a resale unit at Jadescape right now instead of jumping into a new launch like Thomson Reserve? Let's take a closer look at Jadescape transaction layers to see why that logic can trap you. The 848,000 resale flip. We saw a Jadescape unit where the first owner sold for a minor $55,000 profit, very likely a decoupling situation that doesn't reflect the true market value. And the second owner flipped it later for $848,000, a 12.8% growth per annum. The 2-bedroom myth. Many buyers avoid buying 2 bedrooms because they assume the exit demand isn't there. But a Jadescape 2-bedder bought in 2018 and $1,631 per square foot, sold for $180,000 profit, recording a 4.38% returns for the first owner. The second owner then took over and made another $414,000, recording 6.64% per annum. While the second owners did incredibly well, remember, if you're the first owner and you simply held the property through, your total capital gain is both of those profits combined. Furthermore, Jadescape is now sitting at all-time high resale prices. It is an 8-year-old development and its layout reflects the older non-GFA harmonized floor areas. By the way, if you're not familiar with GFA harmonization and how it affects your actual usable space, I did a full breakdown of this on my channel previously. You should definitely watch it. Coming back to Thomson Reserve, let's do a real-world comparison. Let's imagine back in the late 2019, if you're a buyer with a $1.7 million budget in this area, you can decide between two choices of 3-bedroom. You can either buy a new launch unit from the developer at Jadescape, level 12 at $1.7 million, or you could buy a resale unit at Thomson 3, level 9 at $1.62 million. Which would you choose? Let's take a look at their 3-bedroom layout side by side. Jadescape, 3-bedder premium. Highly efficient layout including a highly practical utility / storeroom right at the entrance, complete with window for ventilation. All 3 bedrooms face the same exact external direction. Thomson 3, 3-bedder, 1044 square feet. Although it may seem to be larger than Jadescape on paper, but the space lacks efficiency. Right off the bat, you are paying for a long, wasted entrance walkway. The kitchen is enclosable with a window, but it's relatively smaller in comparison to Jadescape. And to me, the biggest flaw is the massive balcony stretching from the living room all the way to the master bedroom, which eats into your actual livable space. Jadescape was slightly more expensive than Thomson 3, and the buyer had to wait another 3 years for construction to finish, while the Thomson 3 unit was ready to move in immediately. Fast forward to 2025, the same unit at Thomson 3 was sold at $2.28 million, netting the owner a good $660,000 in profits. However, in the same period in 2025, the same unit in Jadescape was sold at $2.73 million, netting the owner a whopping $1.03 million in profits. Now, do not get me wrong, I'm not saying to just go for a new launch or to just go for resale. Both the resale and new launch make decent money, mainly due to the scarcity of supply in the area. But given the same entry and exit timing, one owner walked away with $360,000 more than the other, just because of the project they pick. While the location and scarcity can bring you profits, knowing how to select the right unit, right stack, right facing, right layout, and at the right entry price wins over just blindly entering into the market. Why? Because when a project has superior attributes, mega facilities, MRT right at your doorstep, and a dominant physical presence, the market will pay a premium for it. Using the same logic, this time between Thomson Reserve as the new launch comparison versus Jadescape as the resale, how do you think these two projects will fare years from now? When Thomson Reserve achieves TOP around 2030, the secondary resale market will naturally migrate towards it because it's newer and it has more efficient GFA harmonized layout, which will win over older non-harmonized surrounding options. Conclusion and your property roadmap. Will Thomson Reserve launch cheap? I do not think so. Even with a low land acquisition cost, developers understand the exact value of the asset they are holding. I expect the launch price of Thomson Reserve to sit somewhere around $2,400 to $2,500 plus PSF range if we are lucky, matching current market benchmarks. But having said that, Thomson Reserve is a mega launch with 1,268 units. I believe the developer's strategy will be to spread the price loading across the different unit types, floor levels, and facing premiums. Which brings me to my main point. No doubt the project attributes are great, everyone knows that. But as a buyer, you need to know how to position yourself correctly within the market framework and within the development itself. When done right, it could be an exceptional defensive asset for your property portfolio. You are securing permanent reservoir views, a fully sheltered doorstep entry to the Upper Thompson MRT, and a desirable 1 km to Aitong School, backed by strong renowned developer consortium of UOL, Singland, Capital Land Partnership, which launched Sky Holland recently and moved an unbelievable 98.8% of the units on launch day. They know how to build and they know how to price. The targeted show flat preview for Thomson Reserve is slated for October 2026. That gives you an ideal window to prepare your transition, but only if you act right now. If you have an existing HDB or condo or a property in your name, or you need an exact step-by-step financial timeline to see how your finances work out, how the ABSA can be avoided, and how the new launch progressive payment structure fits you, let's have a friendly chat. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the like and subscribe button right now to help the channel grow. And I'll see you in our next video. I'm Corraine, your trusted real estate advisor, helping you navigate every property move with confidence and clarity. This is Corraine Choo Realty signing off. Clarity, strategy, results. Bye!